Welcome to Shut Up Football. I'm Jeff Stoltzfus. That's Kevin. Last week, the Broncos and the Panthers got some much-needed wins. If they're still in the NFL's basement, they at least have a cot and a flashlight now, which is more than some. We saw a strong increase in the number of group celebrations, which is nice if you're a fan of joy. And there are still 4 undefeated teams in the league, and the Steelers are one of them. It's time to look back at Week 3. It's time for the roast.
If there's one thing Aaron Rodgers dreams about, it's co-hosting a podcast about the movie Con Air with Joe Rogan. But if there's 2 things, it's that and a Jets home opener like this. Rodgers connected with Allen the Lazard King, who shredded the defense like his undershirt and flopped into the end zone. They saved the ball so it could be studied by future civilizations. I mean, not ours. We're fucked. Nathaniel Hackett called his favorite play, whatever Aaron wants. Breece Hall spun into the end zone like an overzealous dreidel. L'chaim. Robert Saleh went for a hug, but Rodgers denied him. He didn't have beef with Saleh. He's just not a fan of hugs, celebrating, touching, emotion, his family, vaccine, sunscreen, Mel Kiper Jr., toothbrushes, and probably Robert Saleh. The refs saw enough screen time to get their SAG cards. But what do you expect when players be smacking each other right in front of you? Next time, yell good game after. They don't flag for aggressive sportsmanship. They called the Patriots offensive line makeshift. It was filthy with rookies and possibly the blind. Jacoby Brissett was sacked 5 times. They couldn't protect him any more than a strong antiperspirant. If Jacoby tied his cleats, a Jets defender would be there to put his finger in to tie the bow, and then sack the bow. At halftime, Jacoby updated his advanced directive. Pull the plug! He found a persistent vegetative state too similar to the Patriots offense. Robert Kraft was there, neither standing or sitting. Just pick one. Aaron Rodgers had the 5th most touchdowns in NFL history. He'll never catch Tom Brady. But if he can just pass Brett Favre, he can defraud a welfare fund. The Patriots put in Drake May. Why not? What could it hurt? May. It could hurt Drake May. Jacoby Brissett could only watch from under his Gatorade hijab, as May was battered like a trailer park mistress in garbage time. The only thing you're teaching him is that he should have minored in matadoring. Throw in the towel. Jacoby is wearing it. This game started with a dynamic fumble. The Browns scored on the very next play. Watson to Cooper. Scoring is great, but the handshakes after are such a headache. Both defenses came prepared to party. Both teams packed their whimsy and broke out celebrations for the fans. I thought Deshaun Watson was a rushing quarterback, or does he only run from allegations? He was sacked 8 times. Put your pants back on. Daniel Jones didn't burn down and sink into the swamp. The Giants scored 3 times in the first half. That was fun. Let's never do it again. They were blanked in the second half. Malik Neighbors became the youngest receiver in NFL history to have 2 touchdowns in 1 game. Devin Singletary showed a savvy veteran move by marrying his butt cheeks to the turf at the 1. I now pronounce this game over. There was some kind of voodoo in this game. The Eagles rejected a field goal and went for it on 4th down, only to fail. But the Saints said, "Hold my beer." Why does no one like points? Derek Carr failed to escape a guy the size of the Kool-Aid Man. Oh yeah. This game was a Xanax until Saquon Barkley chased away the sleep fairies in the 4th quarter with a 65-yard scamper. The Saints climbed back on top with a Carr to Olave strike. Barkley got another one soon after, and this game stayed tighter than a nun's balloon knot. However, this was a Dallas Goedert game. He was sticky fingering catches and keeping drives on life support. In the end, he found enough space to build a house on and put this game to bed. The Eagles had an interception, a fumble, a blocked punt, a missed field goal, and they turned it over on downs. They built a prison just to escape from it. Don't clap for that. Sam Darnold is a Vikings god. He threw another 4 touchdowns. Technically 5, but it was called back for penalty. He only threw 17 passes all game. It's a waste of time to throw passes that aren't touchdowns. The Jets were fools to move on from him. Sometimes a player just needs 7 years to develop. Kevin O'Connell must be hell to date. 0 eye contact, and he never once asked about me. But then again, it's gotta be hard to coach professional football when you're doing whippets on the sideline.
Bullwinkle! Bullwinkle!
CJ Stroud was picked off twice. They said the Vikings love chaos, which is on my Tinder bio too, right next to typos and a picture of my Elon Musk tramp stamp. A sad moment as Justin Jefferson forgot how to play rock, paper, scissors.
Rock, paper, watermelon? No.
Stefon Diggs came up with new plays based on slang from middle schoolers.
Lock in. It's Gat Sigma Ohio Riz the Lulu Drip No Cap. Skibbity on one.
Bo Nix had a good day.
Yay!
No interceptions, no sacks, no fumbles. It's the little things you treasure. He also had a rushing touchdown. Jaleel McLaughlin had one too, on a 4th and inches that turned into a mile. It was some ominous foreshadowing when Baker Mayfield woke up with half the Broncos defense in his bed. He was sacked 7 times. Tyler Beatty led the Broncos rushing attack, mostly off of one big chunk. They called him Bidet.
Tyler Bidet!
Are you sure? Not Batty or Beatty? You better be sure before you brand a man as a butthole's drinking fountain. The Broncos forced 2 turnovers, and Bo Nix got his first pro win. Malik Willis said playing the Titans wasn't a revenge game. How could it be? Just like your family dog Puddles, he's in a better place now. Willis had over 70 yards rushing, another 200 through the air, and 2 touchdowns. Will Levis had a much better start to this game, but as soon as the broadcast praised him, he was immediately intercepted for a score. Levis brought an unexpected piece to the defense. Pack his ass up, send him to Gaza. Time to save some lives, you white savior. Levis's internal clock must have been flashing 12 like a busted microwave. The Packers defense had enough sacks to start a smooth jazz band. They were holding team meetings on Levis's sternum. If I were Levis, I would have spent halftime inquiring if Nerf makes armor. But it wasn't all bad. Levis had a couple of scores to DeAndre Hopkins, who got there with effort, and Nick Vannett, because surprises are fun. Emmanuel Wilson broke free on a couple of big plays, but when he tried to hurdle a man, Quandre Diggs came off the top rope and dragged him back to earth like gravity. You ain't no right, brother. There was no love for the Packers, but even less for Tennessee. Anthony Richardson had another rough week. He threw 2 interceptions, nearly fumbled, and only completed 10 passes. Caleb Williams threw his first career touchdown pass. There was just one problem. It was Rome Odunze's too. Let the grab ass and horse trading begin. Williams threw 52 passes for over 360 yards, including a touchdown to Cole Kmet. Because it'll be a cold day in hell before Kmet keeps my ball. Fuck that guy. Roschon Johnson actually touched the field. He was the Bears' leading rusher. You will never see him again. Caleb Williams also threw 2 picks and had the ball stripped. It led to more Jonathan Taylor points. The Bears' field goal kicker must have started drinking early after the Bears went for it on 4th down and lost 12 yards. You are not serious people. I have so many questions. Like, did they bronze Peyton Manning's crotch? The Colts special team coach sent in the signal. Strip club after. Matt Eberflus's brain broke and he forgot how to wave.
Like this?
Trey Sermon failed to get a touchdown until half the Colts pushed his back butt out his front butt as he touched the back of the end zone. Just another weird-ass day at the office for these teams. Justin Herbert was questionable coming into this, so maybe don't do that. Quentin Johnston got open for an early score and danced like my windshield wipers. God, that is so them. Classic. Justin Fields had a couple of scores. He scampered in on his first and found Calvin Austin III for another. Austin had almost 100 yards. Fields had a pass ricochet and bounce around like a hot potato, which I guess is a thing, but I've never found myself in a bouncing potato situation. Mine remained grounded and chived. Herbert's center rolled the ball to him like he gave up on life mid-snap, and it's your turn to carry the load now, Justin. The Steelers' defense was a persistent thorn in Herbert's dong. They forced a fumble from him, and later he was sidelined when they re-aggravated his ankle injury. It forced Taylor Heineke into the game. I love Heineke, but he's like 90% moxie and 10% talent. Like Gardner Minshew without the trailer park swagger. No need to see him devoured by TJ Watt. The Seahawks had no problem scoring touchdowns, but the Dolphins were bereft of Tua Tagovailoa. Skylar Thompson was forced into action, with the emphasis on inaction. Before the half, Thompson refused to throw the Hail Mary. It's always something with agnostics. He tried to shake a wedgie free, but it was stubborn. Maybe his underwear was seeking refuge from the defense. The joke's on you, bikini briefs. There is nowhere Boye Mafe won't go. The Seahawks spent the day sending waves of defender after Thompson. And why not? He was fumbling and showing the situational awareness of a child in a doctor's office. I don't know what this ref did to piss off this director, but this seems like bullying. Thompson left with a chest injury. He injured his McRibs. They might as well have slapped some scotch tape on the Titanic. He was back on the next drive and on the ground soon after. It was Tim Boyle time. Congratulations to the lucky fan sitting in row 3, seat 7. You are now the new backup quarterback for the Miami Dolphins. Dan Marino knew he was on camera and got the fuck out of there before they could joke about him going in. Now that's situational awareness. The Red Rocket was back, and he might as well have been working for a casino because he was dealing. 300 yards. He hit Chuba Hubbard, Deontay Johnson, and Adam Thielen all for scores. He was there to chew bubblegum and kick some ass, and he was all out of, oh no, look, he's got some. The Panthers look like a well-oiled machine, not the leaky chum bucket they'd been through 2 weeks. Dave Canales was slapping asses and probably sexting himself at the half. It was hard not to overstate just how much of an upgrade reasonably competent was. Not to dunk too hard on Bryce Young, but it was hard when everything reminded you of the Panthers' first-round pick. Max Crosby looked like he was living in that dream where you lose all your teeth and someone just handed him an apple. One can only imagine the emotional toll of getting boat raced by the Panthers. If Antonio Pierce had any awareness at all, he would have confiscated everyone's belts and shoelaces after the game. Brock Purdy was down Christian McCaffrey and Deebo Samuel in this one, but it didn't seem to bother him. Jauan Jennings had a career day. 11 receptions, 175 yards, 3 touchdowns. He caught absolutely everything that could be caught. Deep balls, furtive glances, fire, fish. The Niners destroyed the Rams early, but they forgot to bury them. Matthew Stafford connected with Kyren Williams for a score, and he went airborne. It was a weird time to find out Kyren Williams had escaped the circus. The Rams faked a punt, and Ronnie Rivers picked it up. Operation Sneaky Bastard was a go. Brock Purdy ran the length of a football field on one play. He'd be the league's leading rusher if they only counted laterally. The Rams rented a single-family bungalow on Kyren Williams' back and lived there all game. He got another 2 scores on the ground. Somehow, they snuck this one out like 3 turtles in a trench coat. But the Niners never go quietly. It ended with my favorite play: chaos. I can't imagine getting injured on a play where the soundtrack is yakety sax. It's never a good sign when your quarterback is your leading rusher. Murray scurried until Aiden Hutchinson finally found him down there. Jared Goff threw a strike to Amon-Ra St. Brown, and after, he got down on all fours and made a meal out of it. Someone test that man for sausages. Goff had a pass tipped, and it was returned the other way, but the refs whistled it dead because of the 2-minute warning. Just one problem: it was snapped prior, meaning some unscrupulous whistleblower had infiltrated the refs' ranks, probably taking advantage of the national stage to showcase their whistling skills, and start an all-whistle band called Whistling Dixie. I warned you about this scenario in the preseason. What did I say? Whistles are too sexy. I said give them tambourines. The Lions pulled off the hook and ladder to Jahmyr Gibbs. It was hooking perfect. Even the defenders who got beat probably mentally golf clapped on this one. Murray was picked off in the end zone, and the defense spun like a carousel until they got the vapors. He was sent back to the bench to perfect his impression of a potted plant. The Cardinals were within field goal range, but they said, fuck it. They went for it on 4th and failure, and you'll never guess what happened next. For the second time this season, the Cowboys' defense was indefensible, allowing short catches for long gains to the likes of Nelson Aguilar. Lamar Jackson was too much by land and air. Derrick Henry took what he wanted and left a wake of shattered defenders second-guessing their life choices. The Ravens had over 250 yards rushing. They probably ran to the stadium that day. CeeDee Lamb fumbled the ball, and after, he was hungry? Horny? I don't know. Cut to the white guys acting white camera. In or out, Piera, you are messing up the shot. There's nothing sadder than a sad man in a comically large hat. Maybe the Holocaust. The Ravens went into the 4th quarter up by 3 scores, and they probably felt safe and secure, like a good pair of slacks. But they took their foot off the gas, and then poured it all over the defense, and lit a match. Pantalones en fuego, because the Cowboys exploded with a Dak Prescott hat trick. Not that hat. Touchdown begat touchdown, and the game was within reach. Jackson had to put his cape back on. Not every win is one you take home to mom. Kirk Cousins found Drake London lonely in the end zone, and the Falcons drew first blood. Patrick Mahomes had 2 touchdowns, one to race car enthusiast Rashee Rice, and one to Juju Smith-Schuster, which sounds like a law firm co-owned by a Shih Tzu. Mahomes even threw one to the defense. That's just nice. Kirk Cousins bobbled the snap, but Bijan Robinson found it anyway. It's the best fumble for a completed pass I've ever seen. Bijan Robinson maybe scored a touchdown too. Did you see it? Did anyone actually see it? You know what? I trust him. Drake London is so good he caught a ball twice. It's like they teach you, one for you, one for them. The Falcons rejected a field goal twice and went for it on 4th down because nothing gives you the confidence to try something a 4th time, like failing 3 straight times. It led to 0 points, which is less than 3. It would be dishonest to call this a game. This was a murder, and we were all complicit. Josh Allen threw 4 touchdowns to 4 different receivers. Everyone was going home pregnant. This game was like a 1970s rock concert. Buffalites were going crazy. Women were throwing their bras on the field. Men were throwing stiff socks. The Bills could do no wrong, and even when they did it fucking perfectly. The Jags offense couldn't find their asses if their hands were stapled to them. They were either out of rhythm or they were playing jazz, which just sounds like a bunch of people tuning their instruments to me. Coach Peterson looked like someone just shit on his grill. Trevor Lawrence overthrew his receiver and it was picked off by Damar Hamlin. He did it on his knees. ESPN gave us 2 games at the same time, 1 for each eye. Don't you know how hard it is to watch this on a cell phone in a Home Depot bathroom? Coach McDermott said all the glory goes to God, which can only mean one thing: the Jaguars weren't praying hard enough. I knew something was up when the Lord flooded the field with air soup. Trevor Lawrence got the hook, and the Jags waved the white flag. Mac Jones. Jayden Daniels just showed up in primetime. He was dropping dimes like he just fisted a Coinstar and was winging it at the field. Daniels ran through a hole big enough to drive a truck through. Not that he needed it. He could fit through a keyhole. He got his first passing touchdown, and it went to a lineman, making it trivia. Where were you on that one, underdog? He danced like Hostess just dropped a new Twinkie. Terry McLaurin got the game winner. He snuck his little piggies in the paint when it mattered most. They showed a list of all of Terry McLaurin's quarterbacks. It looked like the Commanders owned a farm where they only raised backups. The Bengals defense was a sieve, which seems like a problem if you want to contend with anything more than spaghetti. Joe Burrow had a big night too, connecting with Jamar Chase on a pair of scores, but it was overshadowed by the losing. It's hard to be fashionably late to a funeral. The Bengals start the season in an 0-3 hole. I guess Joe Burrow's hair isn't the only thing that's dyed.
It's time for the soft pretzel of the week.
Yummy.
This week, the pretzel goes to field goals. You know, those annoying things that rarely get featured on this channel. I've noticed a trend through the first 3 weeks of the season. Teams are rejecting easy field goals on 4th down in favor of going for the touchdown, only to lose those games by the points they gave up. And that's what they're doing. They're giving away points. I know it's not sexy to kick a field goal, but points are points, except when they're not, which is what keeps happening. I call it 4th and failure, because the number of conversions is low. And I think I know who's to blame. It's not aggressive head coaches, it's analytics. They are literally putting it on the screen now. ESPN Analytics says go for it. Cool. Does it say what 0 + 0 is? Because here's what I know. Both the Commanders and the Steelers won football games this season where they didn't score any touchdowns. How'd they do it? Field goals. They stacked points. So here's the pretzel for the coaches to remember. Don't let smart technologies make you so dumb. Thank you for watching Shut Up Football. We do appreciate it. Please leave your comments below. Say hi to your mom for me, and we'll see you in the next one. Peace!
Check the mic and make sure it sound right, boys. It sound right, boy.
Skibbity on one.